Okay, so hi Vito. You are the executive director for international sales with Hilton Hotels. We're very glad to have you um, on this interview for Anchor Travel to share with us some information about the brand, to share also information about the status and your insights with what's going on with the travel industry. So thank you for being with us here.
No problem.
I'm going to start this little interview by just saying a few words about Hilton Hotels and Resorts, which is a global brand of full service hotels and resorts. It's a very well-known name within the industry. The company was founded by Conrad Hilton in 1919 in Texas, quite a while ago. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
100 years of existence. That's quite a challenge today. In 1989, Hilton established the Hilton Honors program. We're going to talk a little bit about that more over the course of the interview. And this is the Hilton's guest loyalty program. And also just to give a little bit of context about the size of the company and what we're looking at. As of May 7th, 2020, so quite recent. I don't think it has changed much in between. The portfolio of the chain included 6,110 properties, including timeshare properties, with just before 1 million rooms available throughout 120 countries and territories, making Hilton the second largest hospitality company worldwide. So a big name out there, just behind a huge Marriott and Starwood conglomerate. All these hotels are shared between 18 brands across different market segments, which makes also a very powerful brand towards the public of corporate travel, but also leisure travel. And Fortune magazine ranked Hilton Hotels and Resorts at number 1 on their Fortune list of the top 100 companies to work for in 2020, based on an employee survey of satisfaction. So that is also quite an achievement. Congratulations for that. And well, I guess that you're a happy employee, given the surveys of.
Yes, I am. I've been with Hilton for over 15 years. So yes, that's probably a good sign that it's a great company, for sure.
Okay. Well, this is really amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What has been your career at Hilton? What is your career at Hilton and your current responsibilities?
Yeah, so I started with Hilton 15 years ago when it was just Hilton. My responsibilities for sales were just for Hilton Canada. And over the years, that responsibility has grown. And now I oversee teams in Canada, the United States, and all of Latin America, all of the above property sales folks, as well as I'm also the Hilton representative from an industry relations side. And I work exclusively with some of our big partners in terms of our meetings and events side of things, so PCMA, MPI, GBTA, and the like. So the role has expanded over the years. I'm very lucky to have some great teams that I work very closely with to support all of our hotels, not just in the Americas, but around the world. And it's, yes, and you're absolutely right in terms of some of the accolades for the company and the size of the company. It continues to grow. Like you said, over 6,100 hotels. It is a beast of a company, to say the least. It's a fantastic company. So.
And it's a changing world as well. Like the industry has been shifting from one end to another, and it's especially for sales. It has been quite a renewal over the past couple of years.
Yes. Yeah.
As an executive in sales operations, you also first row to witness the disastrous consequences of the pandemic on the hospitality industry, more particularly. Can you tell us a little bit what were the first signs that you observed and where in the world? How did you see that pandemic effect and domino, I would say, expand globally?
Yeah, I guess one of the benefits of being a global company is that you get to see these kinds of situations from one part of the world and as it sort of makes its way across the rest of the world. And so we obviously, from an international sales perspective, we sell into Asia, of course, and China specifically, and we started to see the closure of the Chinese market a long time ago, back at the beginning of the year. Then when it started to spread, of course, into Europe, into Western Europe, into countries like Italy and Spain, we started to see the effects of that in terms of the travel started to reduce, lockdown started to happen, and we knew something was happening. And that was around February timeframe, late February. We started to see things that we had not normally seen. I was still traveling into early March, but then we knew at that time that it was going to get pretty serious in terms of these lockdowns. And then, of course, it hit the Americas, as we all know, and that's been that. So unfortunately, like I said, we kind of saw it sort of going across the company, as it did, I'm sure, for all of our competitors, from Asia all the way over to the Americas. And of course, now we're seeing our Asian hotels reopen. The markets are reopening on that side as we're starting to see the lockdowns getting lifted in Europe. So the cycle, of course, is now reversing for us. And as we're talking to our customers, we're starting to talk to them about that reverse cycle in terms of these markets and hotels that are open along the way. And as you know, Elsa, in terms of here in the Americas, we've got sort of a bunch of different sort of situations happening. Some markets in the United States are fairly wide open. Some markets in North America, as well as in South America, are still relatively closed or reopening phase one for the most part. And so we're kind of managing all of that. But we are absolutely in recovery phase right now. We are fully in recovery phase. As Asia has come out, Western Europe continues to recover. The Americas is recovering as well. We can finally say that we're in good shape. We're getting better every day. Thanks. So,
it sounds like an eclipse, the way that you are describing it. It started from one end and then it follows the complete rotation of the Earth, and now it's gonna turn back to the sun again.
Yeah. It felt like that too. So yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So we are hearing a lot of stories, obviously good and bad, about the situation of the hospitality industry in North America. Can you tell us what is the current situation for the chain and which objectives is Hilton Hotels pursuing for the North American market? So more specifically, Canada and the US, just to be more accurate to our audience of corporate travelers that are more located in Canada and the US.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall our responsibility for the hospitality industry, or specifically for the hotel industry for us at Hilton, is to make sure that we are providing a safe and comfortable place for both our team members as well as our travelers who are checking into the hotels. So as the industry obviously recovers and we're starting to see the transient and some group folks come back to the hotels, our number one priority is obviously safety and making sure that everybody is comfortable, they're confident in staying. We were already a very clean hotel company to begin with. Now we're layering in additional standards to all of our hotels around the world. We've launched a program called Hilton Clean Stay with Lysol protection that is being supported by the Mayo Clinic in the United States, which gives us some good research in terms of what it takes to be super clean. And our travelers, your travelers, our travelers, our guests should be really, really confident in knowing that the situation, as it gets better, is getting stronger, and we're confident and people can feel much better about coming back to the hotels.
Okay. You just mentioned the cleaning program that has been implemented within the hotels. Is there any other special measures that have been launched on the operational side, on the field? I would say it's kind of a field now in the hotels, or more on a corporate level for your team?
Well, everybody, because everybody works in the hotels, both our team members and of course the guests, who are arriving, everybody is in this environment of clean stay within the hotel. So whether it's the back of the house or the front of the house, everything that we're doing from a disinfection perspective in all the high touch areas, those are everywhere, reducing paper, reducing any kind of material that sort of could, be a challenge from an infection perspective, those are gone. We were really one of the first companies to get contactless check-in and check-out. So you could check in, you could actually choose your room and check in using your phone. So you would never actually need to go to the front desk. This was before the pandemic started. And so now that obviously is a fantastic program to have at our hotels because you bypass anything. Not that that's a problem because of course everything is obviously clean and sanitized and all of that, but it's just another way to kind of, sort of keep away from an area maybe that you don't want to be in. No big problems. And again, for our team members, it's all about safety and well-being for them. They're going to be protected. They will have all of the materials that they need to make sure that they can work in a safe environment. So it's really two things happening at the same time, Ilse. It's the team members and how we protect them, and it's the customers and how we protect them. That's already happening right now. Again, not an issue for us.
Okay, that's amazing to hear. As an expert of the industry, we would love to hear about your opinion of the unlock of the situation. How do you see Hilton Hotels going back to business? Do you think about, is it operational steps, as you just mentioned, but will it continue on a more geographical approach, pilot hotel groups to test new ways of making the customer experience safe according to what you hear around?
Yeah, well, for the transient guests, the Clean Stay program covers all of that. And the Clean Stay program is a global program for us. So it's going to touch every single hotel around the world because, of course, the pandemic touched every single part of the world. There's no need for us to make any sort of real changes or adjustments to it. We know you've got to have a clean environment for both the team members and the hotel guests, and that's what it is. And Clean Stay covers all of that. Where we are moving to the next step operationally is really about the meetings and events space. We're going to be launching some standards around that shortly, but more importantly, I just wanted you to know, and certainly the viewers, that yes, that's the next phase in all of this, is how do we ensure social distancing? How do we ensure food and beverage is taken care of properly so people feel safe in eating? When they're using meeting space at the hotels. That's coming. We're working on that right now because we know that eventually those meetings and events are going to happen at the hotel. So moving from more of a transient traveler, like we said earlier about their check-in and check-out experience and staying in the rooms, again, no issues there, to now moving into more of that sort of meetings or events kinds of space. That's what we're looking at right now to make sure that people feel safe and comfortable when they meet at our hotel. So more to come on that, but yes, that's high on the radar.
Well, let us know when the meeting, the groups and meeting new procedures and new measures come out, and we'll be happy to share that with our travelers as well. There is a big demand on that side as well, because everything has stopped during a certain period of time. And then there are some projects that have been put on hold that will need to happen afterwards. So we would love to hear about what can be done on the Hilton Hotel side, at least.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. Can you tell us about the pros and cons that you see about working in a franchisee business model? About, if I'm not mistaken, it's about half of the hotels that are operated under a franchise for Hilton. How does that work with these hotels? Is it more an inconvenience? Is it more an advantage to what you're seeing with the current situation?
Yeah, I don't think of it as a disadvantage or anything that's negative. We love working with the franchisees. I mean, they are the ones that are operating the hotels on a day-to-day basis. They want us to support them in every possible way of doing their business, whether it's through operating the hotels or sales and marketing or other technology that supports the hotels. So they are our partners. They are absolutely our partners. They want to learn from us. They want to know how we can teach them about safety and additional cleanliness and sort of the topics that we're talking about today. Yeah, the franchise business model is a fantastic model. It allows us to grow very quickly, of course, first and foremost, and then it allows us to work very closely with multiple operators at the same time to make sure that they're doing the things that they need to do. So it's been a positive. I work very closely with a lot of our franchisees in Canada and in Latin America. They're fantastic partners. They're very good. They absolutely love the Hilton system, of course, and they're doing great work with us right now as we're kind of getting through this particular pandemic situation.
Okay, well, it's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
What do you think will be the biggest changes in the guest experiences that the customer will have to expect when staying in your hotels? We talked about previous initiatives that included, I would say, digital or remote check-in, just to ease the process, especially for these corporate travelers that do not have a minute to stop and to chat. But talking about a hotel experience, hotel industry professionals are in their veins here to welcome, to be with people, to serve people. So how will that change also from the employee's perspective when they will be asked to welcome a guest, to check in a guest, but without speaking, without touching, without being close? How will that work?
Yeah, I think there's going to be, no different, Elsa, than what I've experienced when I've gone to a grocery store or, now some of the stores are opening themselves, the retailers. I think there's going to be more communication between our team members and the guests in terms of how to manage all of that. So I think that in the past, a lot of travelers, especially loyal travelers to a particular hotel, would know their way around without a problem. They could easily check in, they could check out, they go straight to their room, or they go to a meeting space, or they go to the gym, the pool, those facilities. A lot of times they could make their way around a hotel very, very easily, and you wouldn't have too much interaction, let's say, with
the home away from home.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for those ones that have been to hotels many times, a particular hotel many times, there's no need for them to ask any questions. I think that's what's going to change. I think what you're going to see now is somebody checking into the hotel every day, and it's happening today, of course, is they're going to be asking questions, right? Like, where can I go? What can I do? Can I use this facility? So, and I think that that's all part of the confidence message for the travelers, right? They need to be confident today before they get to the hotel that the hotel is safe and clean and the team members are trained properly to manage all of this. That's happening right now. That's done. I think that when they get to the hotel, there needs to be, similar to any other sort of place you go to in today's environment, there needs to be communication. There just needs to be some dialogue. How can I help you? Where do you need to go? What would you like to know in terms of what's open, what's not open? What can you access or can't access? Those for the loyal travelers, the heavy travelers, maybe they didn't experience that before. They might experience that for the next little while, just until they kind of get used to what these facilities are going to look like and how they operate. So there are going to be some physical things that you'll see differently. Of course, the plexiglass at the front desk is probably the first thing you'll see. You'll see more team members with masks on and gloves and that kind of stuff. But again, I think that where it's really going to be different is more of that communication. Where you probably, like I said, a customer may not have needed that in the past, and they need it today, and that's fine. That's totally fine. That's exactly what the team members are there for. So exactly. It's no different.
And to be able to adapt. And do you think some of these changes, we can talk also about the place of the technology with these virtual check-in, virtual checkouts? Do you think these kind of changes are here to stay? Or would that be a temporary bubble with the time of that pandemic?
That's a good question, Elsa. I mean, certainly from a technology perspective, your mobile phone is really the sort of the center of the technology hub for us when they're staying at our hotel. in terms of checking in, choosing your room before you get to the hotel. So, with Hilton, 24 hours prior to your arrival at the hotel, you can actually go and you can check every floor to see what rooms are available the night that you want to stay, and you can actually choose that room before you get there. You can do that you can do that today on your phone, and then you can, and so when you arrive, that's the room that you're going to get. And then checking out, of course, the same idea. You don't really have to go to the desk. So all of that sort of technology that's kind of built around not having to go to the front desk is available today. So we're totally fine with that. Those technology changes are going to be fantastic. I think that as the communication continues to happen, I think that there'll be, I'm not sure how long that's going to last in terms of what people need to know, because again, as things change and sort of the restrictions come off in communities and locals around the world, then maybe people don't have to ask that many questions anymore. So that might change from that perspective. But the technology, no, I think that's going to be, we're going to lead in that space, and I think and the customers will always appreciate that, certainly now more than ever.
Yeah, well, it's a great occasion to innovate, to start projects on that field that you wouldn't maybe not have tackled other way. I hear some stories about the distribution industry with the groceries that have enhanced their websites. Like they are 4 years ahead of what they thought like a couple of months ago. So it can be a great opportunity to work on that side and to enhance what is available today. Yep. What tips could you give to our travelers when they prepare to stay at a hotel over the next couple of months? How should they prepare?
Yeah, I would say that there's only one tip that I would give to customers as they prepare to come to our hotels, and that is be prepared and be patient. Be prepared for changes, like I mentioned, plexiglass, the team members wearing masks, let's say, whatever those changes are at the hotel, just expect some change. There is going to be some change in the experience of overall. Social distancing, all of that kind of stuff that everybody's doing, it's going to happen. So expect that. But more importantly, I think, is to be patient, right? I think that, prior to all of this, we were living in a very, very fast-paced world, and the world has clearly slowed down over the last few months, to say the least. And it's going to take some time to kind of rebuild that sort of pace back to that, to where we were before. I mean, I've been to many of our hotels, and I'm sure, Elsa, you've been, obviously, you in the travel community, you've seen certain lobbies of hotels. It's always sort of fast-paced, lots of stuff happening here and there, meeting rooms and all that kind of stuff. I think that we need some patience. I think we need to kind of get back. We're going to ramp up eventually to that place. We're just not going to be there right now. So if they can expect change and they can be patient with that change, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine, and they will absolutely enjoy the experience, and they'll be confident in their stays at our hotels.
Okay, yeah, it is true. It's an adaptation on the client side to be able to appreciate the adaptation on the provider side as well. Very well said. We heard about the news that Hilton sold part of the program, the loyalty program, the Hilton Honors, to American Express. What does that mean to your members and for the future of the program?
It really doesn't have an effect on the program itself. We had some points available. We sold them to American Express so they can use those points for any kind of program that they want to do. American Express and Hilton do have a very strong relationship. They are the holder of our credit card, the Amex card. Of course, the Hilton Honors Amex card. And so it was really more of a transaction from that perspective. So American Express could hold those points and use them as they wish. And we hope that they will.
Okay, yeah. A lot of our travelers at Encore Travel are Hilton Honors members, obviously.
Good.
So can you explain us what is the chain doing for the extension of the statuses, the validity of the perks, Will there be any novelty to expect on the program due to the pandemic, the closure of the hotels, the slowdown of the business?
Well, the biggest change or the biggest decision that was made from Honors was we simply rolled over the statuses until next year. I mean, this is not a normal travel year. It's not a year where, and you know this obviously better than anybody else, Elsa. It's not a normal travel year for all parts of the tourism business in terms of whether it's hotels, airlines, cruise ships, you know, restaurants, food and beverage. So for us, we just simply notified our members that we're going to be rolling this over, and you know, we'll talk to you next year about statuses. But for now, that status will stay as is. There's just no point in you know, looking at that from any other way except that. So for those viewers and travelers of Encore, I can tell you that your Hilton Honors membership, most likely nothing's really happened to it. It's just going to continue. If you're a certain status, you'll stay that status. You'll, you know, when you come back, you'll enjoy the hotel, the Hilton property exactly as it was prior to all of this. And, you know, we'll continue into that program. We'll continue to enhance the program, of course. You know, you can still use your points to stay at our hotels. You can use just points, or you can use cash and points. That hasn't changed in terms of the program. Some people prefer to use all their points, some of their points with cash. And you know, whichever way they wish to stay at our hotels, they can still do that. It's just from a status perspective, that's going to stay, and that's good news. That's good news because again, this is such an unusual situation. There's no need for us to look at it differently.
Okay, so it's kind of a freeze, and then we will go back to where we were in, let's say, February 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We have been stuck in winter.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people once all of this sort of, you know, let's go and we get back to normal life. I mean, I'm sure there's so much pent up demand for folks, whether it's leisure or it's corporate, and people will want to have their statuses. They want to have, you know, they want to get back to the hotels that they love so much. So for us, that's all part of the experience, you know, booking, Hilton Honors, staying clean, confident, and then, you know, hopefully coming back. So lots of good things, lots of good things in that respect.
And show the trust and the confidence that the customer will be safe to go back. Exactly. As a conclusion, would there be a happy story that you would like to share with us? We love to hear about positiveness at Encore Travel. So yeah. Is there anything that came up over the past couple of weeks?
Well, you know, the hotels continue, and this is, you know, I mean, from a hotelier's perspective, we always see our hotels as such beautiful places where there's always great things happening, and really at the core of it is hospitality, right? And so I think, and I know a lot of viewers and travelers wouldn't have seen the hotels during this environment simply because we weren't really moving around a lot, and I was able to see some things in my job, and I can tell you that the team members continued to be hospitable to everybody, no matter how quiet the hotels were. Every guest was taken care of. We absolutely embraced every customer. There was always this sense of hospitality, no matter how, you know, critical the situation was. We made our team members safe, of course, which was the number one concern. The guests were safe, but because of that, they were able to be hospitable. We continued that sense of hospitality to those guests. So it always, you know, I mean, it was such a sad time for obvious reasons when the hotels were really, really quiet, because they're such great places. There's so much energy. There's always great things happening at hotels, and there's always a great sense of hospitality. But no matter sort of how dark it was, there was our team members always, I saw it personally, always taking care of the guests and always being happy and hospitable. And that's an amazing, amazing part of the business, that no matter how difficult it got, you know, our hotels still were able to, you know, provide that kind of hospitality that people absolutely needed, especially when we were taking care of you know, frontline medical folks like doctors and nurses. We were, you know, so whether you're a family that's traveling on vacation pre-COVID, or if it was a doctor or a nurse that was staying to isolate. The hospitality was still the same, and I think everybody appreciates that. And I think that was a great story for us. And I think we're never going to forget that. Those hotels that served those folks will never forget that. And I know we're going to get back to normal, but I don't think we're going to forget those special.
Yeah, there are certain things that we must not forget. You're right about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, that have been wonderful to share that amazing half an hour with you, Vito. I thank you very much for your time, for your valuable insights, for your tips, for the information that you shared with us today. And again, well, maybe we'll see you again soon with that groups and meetings information that we're dying to know about.
Yeah, exactly. No, I will absolutely get to that information in terms of the next step in terms of our recovery around the Clean State program for the meetings and event space, which, like I said, is coming. But look, thank you for this. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to Encore and to your travelers and the viewers. It's been a tough time, but like I said, we're in recovery. It's happening every day. Things seem to be changing and getting better and more positive. And I know that we'll all be in hotels before you know it, having great events and meetings and travel experiences, and for the corporate travelers or for the leisure families, it's going to be fantastic, and we can't wait for that to happen.
We can't as well. Thank you very much, Vito.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.